Awesome. All right. So without further ado, intro to crypto. Welcome to NFTs. This is going to cover, like I said, just a lot of basics. What it is not going to do is, wow, let me hit escape here. It is not going to tell you exactly how to invest as far as who to invest in and everything like that. This is more for informational purposes. So it's going to be something that really helps you with the information, helps you to make good decisions with the world that's kind of coming at you, whether you like it or not, right? So without further ado, I might have to hit escape here if Canva can't handle everything. But and making an adjustment, guys. All right. So about me, my name is Lauricia Font. Some of you know me as the executive director of Black Women Network, and indeed I am. But I am also a helper, a friend, an entrepreneur, and a wife. So I care about all of those things equally, especially getting to help communities and helping people understand things as well. So hold on one second, guys. I'm going to try to adjust and get this to go back in. Okay, we seem to be all right now. All right, so cryptocurrency is where we're going to start for this intro to crypto. Crypto means secret or hidden. The currency can be anything traded and that is considered valuable. So it could be in the back in the day, it could have been potatoes, right? At one point, those were traded and considered valuable. Now it is something that is different and that a lot of people were weirded out by because they couldn't see it and they were like, oh, crypto hidden. That means that there's not going to be transparency. But actually, it's kind of the opposite, but we're going to get more into that. Cryptocurrency is essentially digital currency used to purchase things like funds we're familiar with. So, just like with the dollar or anything else, if you think about it, our dollar hasn't been based on gold for a long time. So, it's very intrinsic in value and how people feel about it as far as its value and with inflation and everything like that, right? And cryptocurrency is very much the same. The more people feel for its intrinsic value, the higher that value goes. And it has gone. I mean, people thought that Bitcoin wasn't going to stay, and now it's here. Okay. Um, every transaction, the cool thing about cryptocurrency is that it comes with a private code that I'm going to call for like us who are not code savvy. It's kind of like a receipt, but that never fades. It shows proof of the transaction, which is known as cryptography, or some chains used to use proof of work, but that got very labor intensive, so a lot use cryptography. And the receipt is then held in like a permanent book, right? Like a permanent record of receipts. And that is called blockchain. So all of the different coins, they are all their own blockchains, and it kind of forms what we know as cryptocurrency, right? It's kind of come into one, right? Let me help them out here. Sorry about this, guys. All right, so centralized versus decentralized. In crypto, there are lots of coins. We're going to get into that more as well, but some are centralized and some are decentralized in nature. Let me try this other view. Not working. And what that means is, for instance, the dollar is centralized. So it is governed. So there are rules around it, there's policies about how it's used and what it's worth. The worth, I don't get to determine that, and neither do um, people around me and how they feel. There's policies and things in place that determine that. Well, decentralization, which is more akin to, like I said, the world is in your hands, the world is your oyster, right? It's determined kind of by the people using it, and it's global. It's not bound by governments choosing to control the amount and how high it goes or how low it dips. It really is a whole new global view of things. Well, I guess as new as 94, but because believe it or not, guys, a lot of this stuff has been around for a long time. It just wasn't known to us as the public the same way it is now. So we get to enjoy it too now, is what I'll say. So, what many people want to know with cryptocurrency is how do I get in? Like, yes, all the other stuff is nice and cute, and I want to hear about that too, but how do I get involved? Um, Normally speaking, when you get into decentralized currencies in particular, because that's the ones people usually want to know about, you use a centralized currency that you have for your region. So, for instance, I'm in the US, so I would use the dollar and I would buy a cryptocurrency and that is decentralized, or I could buy a centralized one too. Then you can use different exchanges to exchange between the different coins. Um, and there's all kinds of stuff that you could do with that, but you keep those funds in what's called a crypto wallet. There are lots of wallets out there. Um, as soon as you type in crypto wallet and what's the best wallet, there are a list of them that's going to pop up for you. There's familiar ones like Coinbase and Meta Wallet and things like that. MetaMask, excuse me, and things like that. Different ones go with different coins. Um, the more you get into everything with this crypto world, the more wallets you're going to have. Just because, like, you don't want to overlap. Let's say, for instance, just like right now, if you have a business, if you are a business owner, you're going to have accounts just for business, right? And then you're going to have ones for personal things. Then, even then, they might get more granular, and you might have ones for your nonprofit and your for profit. The same with the crypto world. There's different coins, so you might want to separate things. There's different wallets that you might want to keep your NFTs in versus the ones that you actually keep your funds in. Then there's physical wallets that aren't online, which I, do recommend that you at least have one of those so that way, it's even more secure. So it's all kind of things like that, but you don't have to be overwhelmed at first. There's definitely some particulars to it, but you can make a good decision just by, like I said, doing a quick search and starting somewhere. Get you at least one. Don't break the bank over it, and yeah, have fun and learn. The metaverse, is it just weird VR land? Um, Virtual reality and gaming and the metaverse have become kind of synonymous, right? Like, partially because of this blue app and being named Meta and kind of taking over the name. I even have seen articles out there, right, that have said, oh, Meta Land, it's just a bunch of gaming and weirdness and all this stuff. And everybody's going to be walking around looking like Cyclops because of the Oculus and everything like that. And it's like, yes and no. Um, Gaming facets, actually, gaming has come a long way. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that the metaverse will include gaming. Yes, it's going to include gaming. But that is not the entire picture. It is essentially the metaverse and Web 3.0 is a decentralized internet. It is an really, if you think back to when the internet first started, right? Because some people have complained about seeing things for Web 3.0 and said, ew, this isn't advanced. But think about when the internet first started and we had like this weird middle ground of internet phase and dial up, and it was slow, right? And it looked slow. That's kind of where we are with Web 3.0 right now. Everything, like I said, is akin to the Wild Wild West. We're trying things out. People are trying to form their own codes of things that are more improved, more, again, decentralized, and don't have other people's codes interwoven into them. So if you see something and it's kind of jumping and weird and a little bit funky, that's why. But some really cool things that people don't think about with the metaverse or with Web 3.0, augmented reality is going to be even bigger than virtual reality. What augmented reality is where you're sitting right now is like in real life. Like that's it's reality, right? But augmenting that would be using virtual reality to simply superimpose something onto your reality. So let's say there's a surgeon and he is doing a very intricate like heart surgery. He needs to cut at a specific spot. If not, that person may pass away, right? Well, augmented reality could be used to superimpose something like, let's say, an overlay onto the actual person who's being operated on to show the very spot that they need to do the incision. And that could save a life. So it's not just, again, weird games and things like that. There's actual real life application to this. Also, for the different lands that are out there, because I know that that's kind of a buzzword now, right? Like billions of dollars have gone in meta real estate. Well, nonprofits, you guys could get together. For profits could do this too, but it would be more attractive for nonprofits, I believe, just because of the way nonprofits hold forums a lot. You could get together and host global events where people feel more present than at a Zoom meeting. Like they could interact with each other. Their characters could talk. They could walk around a gallery that you put together. They could walk around and hear different presenters for different nonprofits. So there is a lot more that you can do with this space than people think of than, fun pixelated things or gamification. And that's amazing too, because a lot of cool things can happen from that. But there's also going to be real life amazing changes that come with this. Bitcoin, altcoins, and tokens. Okay, so in the crypto world, if it's not Bitcoin, it's an alternative, which means an altcoin. Um, Guys, there are not $15,000, but there's 15,000 or more coins on the market. Like there's so many coins. So I'm not even going to try to talk about all of them. If you want to see which ones are ranking at the highest, that moves too. But Bitcoin is normally at the top. And under there is normally Ethereum just because of some of the integrations they have done. Um, Companies also trade tokens. So we've learned about crypto, Bitcoin, alternatives, which is everything else besides Bitcoin. And now we're going to talk about the tokens. Tokens are not necessarily cryptocurrency itself, but you usually will use cryptocurrency to buy the tokens. So let's say the example I have here, you're putting on a concert. I actually have a good friend in the NFT world, and she has a nonprofit, and her nonprofit goes particularly along with one band. So she is looking to put on this huge, huge concert that involves crypto, and that's the access point to get in the concert. She also wants to add what's called utility. Utility is usually things that besides what the actual token is. So she wants to offer utility and maybe letting people meet the band, letting them have updates. So the cool thing is when someone buys into your token for your company, it doesn't have to be a one-use thing. As a matter of fact, people would actually like for it not to just be a one-use thing. For instance, Bojangles, if you're down south or on the East Coast, you should be pretty familiar with Bojangles. They did an NFT with the Supremes combo. And guys, four-piece Supremes sold for $65 a pop. On its own, that's not attractive. They're about what, $5 now, some change. But if you get access to things, maybe you get I didn't buy this particular token, so I'm not sure exactly the utility, but maybe they got access to one a year for free, or maybe they got access to for a year, they don't change cost even if the restaurant does change cost. So it's things like that, and then the token itself can still rise in value. So that's the cool thing about tokens. It's all about um, what you're buying it for, the utility you're buying it under, and then also the token itself, because of intrinsic value in people, it can still rise too. So I'm going to refer to the coin, Ethereum. Also, the native coin is Ether. But everyone pretty much knows it as Ethereum. The reason why Ethereum really stood out is because, unlike some of the other coins that followed in line with Bitcoin and tried to improve on Bitcoin, but kind of kept it the same, which would have been more like, okay, like I said, glorified secure banking, which is good. I mean, we want secure banking, right? Yeah. But Ethereum took it a step further. They included, I don't want to say created, but in modern day, they are the first ones to introduce smart contracts into their code and onto their blockchain. And what smart contracts are is a coded agreement between two people or entities that is instantly executed once signed and added to the blockchain where it will remain unaltered, hopefully, right? But that's why they're always strengthening their code. That is why they're always really just huge on security and programming and things like that. Everyone is working, all of the coins, to constantly improve what they are doing. But that is why Ethereum stands out from a lot of the rest. Now, mind you, now there are other coins that have introduced the smart contract. Solana's one, um, Terra is another, um, Cardano is another. So there's several out there now. So you're not just bound to Ethereum, especially because there are some negatives to Ethereum. But we will get into that soon. Welcome to the NFTs portion. Take a breath. If you've been with with me this far, you have seen a lot about cryptocurrency. You might even have some questions. So, right here, I will just take a brief moment. If you do have some questions for me, I'm going to sit and check really quick. Maybe you have some questions about crypto. And if you do, feel free to type them now or, write it down and we'll take it into account later. But I want to make sure that I give everyone a chance. While I am waiting for questions, I'm going to see if I can solve this issue here. This is having. All right, and I do not see any new questions for me as of yet, so I will continue on. So, welcome to the NFT side of things. We have spoken about cryptocurrency in detail and really how we're getting over to what is an NFT anyway? It stands for non-fungible token. Yes, guys, I had to even look up. I was like, is it fungible? No, it is non-fungible token. Fungible means mutually interchangeable. So NFT means not mutually interchangeable. Okay, so it is basically a digital contract and it follows the same concept as a smart contract. So that's really why it and Ethereum have kind of gone hand in hand and people trust that chain to do NFTs on. Most people who are doing NFTs, just being very, upfront with you guys, not endorsing Ethereum over anything else, but most people who are doing them are on that blockchain because of how synonymous NFTs are with the smart contract. But yes, NFTs are unique, they're enforceable, they're attached to the blockchain, and attaching it to the blockchain is minting or recording that NFT there. So, real estate is kind of a sticky subject because one of the things with real estate is they say, "Oh, it's fungible, so it's mutually interchangeable." Yes and no. So here's my example for you. Okay, you are in a neighborhood that you get to pick what house you're going to get. You see your neighbor's house and you're like, "I want that one," and the builder's like, "Bet, I'll build it for you," and you get the exact same model of house. But can you just go into your neighbor's house and they just be fine with it and you guys just exchange houses randomly? No, that's not normal, right? Someone might have an issue with that. What makes it unique and actually not just interchangeable randomly? There's a unique address accorded with it, recorded with it, and that's what NFTs have, a unique address or code. And then, of course, that deed makes that property infinitely different, excuse me, than yours. So each of you have your own deeds. Of course, you have your own names, you have your own families, you have your own decorations. So that property, by definition, is infinitely different. The same would go for a restaurant. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you and your friend order the same meal. Well, it doesn't matter if it's technically the same meal, that food is fundamentally different and always is going to be, right? So that is what they mean by not mutually interchangeable. Like, even if it looked the same, it still has its own code. And that's what helps keep everything organized on the blockchain. So, another question, especially with that first little cute picture, and it is cute. Are NFTs all about gaming? The answer is no. Something really cool about NFTs, like I said, because they're a unique asset with a unique address. I mean, this is going to change how things are done overall. Um, Not only gaming, right, and gamification, but voting. Guys, think about not having, y'all know, all that stuff happen because everything, the way the blockchain does, it's literally a chain, right? So from A to B to C, that coding is there. So as long as everybody presses that same button, and different chains do have protocols, those are not just easily just overridable and things like that. So it can keep things in order for us so we won't have some of the issues that we've had in the past. Also, one of the industries that is like full force running towards NFTs, y'all, because of how they've lost things in the past, or how when you switch, it makes it very hard for them, the medical field. The medical field is running headfirst into NFTs. Think about when you normally go to a new doctor or you're in a new state. What happens? You have to sit there for 1 to 2 hours filling out paperwork again. Well, NFTs kick all of that out of the window because now they provide a clear blockchain. They'll know that you were at the doctor out in North Carolina, even though now you're in, Wisconsin and you've moved there. So they won't lose your records. It'll be amazing. And yeah, it'll be a lot less paperwork because everything will be recorded anyway. So, now that we have talked about what minting is recording of that NFT on the blockchain. One of ones versus collections. So, one of ones are literally what it sounds like. It's only one of them. So, a lot of people think of fine art, but it could also be your deed to your house. I mean, there's not a bunch of those, not unless you have a bunch of houses, but it's still going to be one deed per house, right? So that could be a one of one that people don't think about. A contract that you do, let's say you are building something for someone or you are cleaning something for someone and you want to mint your contract to keep record of it. That's a good one of one. And then there are collections. So collections, one good example of it would be this picture right here, where there's slight differences, right? You still never mint the same exact thing unless you're doing a token. And that's a bit different. But it's a different type of collection. But usually there's a differentiation in the picture or something like that, and that's what's kind of flooding the internet right now, right? You might see 10,000 little pixelated hands or uh, 10,000, I don't know, little feet or something like that. And people are like, hey, if that's what NFTs are, I do not want to be involved. But think of it like this. If you are doing, let's say you're selling plants and you are taking photos of those plants, and the plants are similar, right? It could be all the same type, so it could be under one collection, but each plant is unique. And now you would know um, you are selling to. And a matter of fact, if someone invests in the token in your collection, maybe you give them a new plant every month for a year, right? So there's different ways to use collections as well, where one of ones, a lot of time people understand that the utility is in what you already have. So even if you're doing something with fine art, um, the utility is already there. Okay, so what a lot of people want to know is like, how do I do this? Like, how do I incorporate this into my business, right? Show me how to NFT. Okay, so let's say you're a hairstylist. Hairstylists notoriously, I've known almost every hairstylist that I've known has had a client that maybe they forgot their wallet that day or something like that. And because they love their client and, client is loyal, they'll still maybe cut their hair or they'll give them a hairstyle. What if they paid a year in advance? Think about that. Think about your customer base essentially buying a token, paying for the year, and that's their guaranteed price for the year. Or let's say you are a consultant, because that is a huge industry in the US. You can use that NFT. Don't know why it's jumping. You can use that NFT to charge for your consultancy the same way. You can also use it to track progress. So let's say you did a course. You're a consultant and you did a course to educate people on the fundamentals of NFTs. And someone is supposed to go to round two, but and they said they've completed everything. You can do benchmarks along the way that you would know if someone completed the course as written, because along the way they can collect different NFTs. So if the person comes and they only have one at the end and they say they completed it, you can say, "Oh, no, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer, you have not completed this as of yet because I have this in place to make sure that when you go through this course, you're actually being rewarded, right? So you can still turn it back into not a ha, I caught you in your lie, but more so, hey, this is here to reward you, but also to make sure that you have the basics so that way when you move on, it's like a level up, right? I know that this person is ready for round 2 of my programming. That really will help you as a consultant. I consult, so I know it'll help. But it'll help you not to waste time with those who may be tire kickers. Maybe they're not really ready and they just wanted to invest in round 1 of your program. Well, you know not to necessarily solicit them round 2, right? If there's a mastermind version of your program, because they're not ready for it. So they're not going to be enriched by it. And, if people aren't enriched, those are where your bad reviews come from. So you can avoid that. Lastly, one of the most obvious ones to me at first, if you're an artist, man, there is so much space for you. And all you have to do is log on to Twitter houses a lot of the NFT community, guys. So even if you don't have a Twitter, if you are an artist or someone thinking of getting into this space and learning more, go ahead and make you one and just kind of sit back a little bit, but don't get too involved and stay up all night like I did at first, because ooh, that could wear on a person. But if you're an artist, you can sell digital versions of your in real life art. You don't even have to actually sell your physical canvas. As a matter of fact, you can still sell the canvas separately. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Or let's say you're someone who you really want someone to have the utility. Remember, we learned that utility is something that's going to be in addition to that NFT, because the NFT can be just the art. But if you want them to have the utility of the physical canvas, you can do that. And something cool that you can do is you can write in your contract. Some platforms have this and some don't. So you want to watch where you mint or record your NFT to make sure that it has this if you want to do this. But some have where you can pay yourself a commission whenever the piece is sold. I have seen so many people bring up the Basquiat's, of this world, people whose work is held in high esteem now, right? But when they were here, their work did not, though it sold, they didn't make money every time it sold. They made money, a little up front, and that was it. But what if you could take control of your work, and not just painters, but those who are doing graphic design. If you're into poetry, you can mint your poetry. You're an artist too. If you are in music, think about how this changes the game for you. There have already been local artists, guys, who have used NFTs to take control of their musical career in ways that people really thought that they would never have a chance. These are not young individuals doing this. These are some older, um, not necessarily very old, but they could be. But a lot of them that I see are in their 30s and 40s, and they're still getting back into the music game. When have you seen that happen lately? Just in, mainstream media? You don't. But they're able to actually utilize NFTs to mint their music and then put it out there to the world. And they're providing, some of them are providing utility and having people invest in their music, right, through tokenizing it. And then on the back end, you are essentially helping to pay for a music video. So you're getting to see along the way how they're using these funds to invest. So that way you are invested in their cause, which is fantastic. some need to knows with NFTs. The pay to play with Ethereum in particular, there's something that you will hear a lot: gas fees. Gas fees are essentially what you pay as a service fee to be able to mint on the blockchain. It is um, different prices for different chains. But like I said, Ethereum is used a whole lot when it comes to NFTs. And those gas fees are terribly high. Okay, a lot of times. You have to be up usually around 3, 4 in the morning for them to be on a low. And they are slated to fix this in the second version of Ethereum, they say. But no one knows that for sure. And they're still high right now. So we can't just say, hey, what it's going to be. We can point to what it is. So if you are thinking about minting there, consider that. And then also the environmental impact. Um, Ethereum in particular is very heavy on the environment because of that process of work of recording on their blockchain, and it's not great for the environment. But there are some other altcoins that have addressed the environmental impact. I know, like I said, I'm not endorsing or putting down one or the other, but in their fundamentals, some have addressed this. I know, for instance, Solana is one. So look into the different coins. We have to care about our environments, right? Because that's the whole point of moving into this Web3. It's supposed to be a decentralized global effort to kind of right the wrongs of society in a way. And that moving into that, equality, equality in Web3, the Metaverse, NFTs, it still has a long way to go. Like I said, if you're one of the people who does, take that leap and make a Twitter and kind of join some of those Twitter spaces about NFTs, and it will not take you very long to realize that some of the same problems that made Web 2 or our current Web 2.0, our current web, so toxic, still there because the same people still have more resources. So they are able to mint more, they're able to control more, they're able to do more. And because of that, it makes it you have to be very intentional with how you move in this wild, wild west because what you set up could be set up for your great, great, great grandkid later. Like, we don't know that Web3 is just going to be overhauled. People thought that, this current internet was going to just, I guess, die off at one point, right? And then something totally different was going to come. But no, it was just kind of improved iterations of this current internet. So as we're going into something that is supposed to be decentralized and look different, we have to make sure that we are intentional about our environment as far as how we treat the earth in minting, and also our environment and how we treat other people around us. If we bring in the same biases that have maybe been enforced from, having those governmental lines or having lines, of where we stay or in our particular communities, this is not going to be any different. So, something that I am doing in particular while I'm in Web3 is just talking about equality um, in every space I go in. I talk about equality because it's one of the last things spoken about. Everyone just assumes everyone is okay. But even with the mint fees, if I make 40% less than you in real life, how am I supposed to pay a few $100s to get my items minted? It's harder. And a lot of people don't like to admit that it's harder, right? But it is. And so we have to be the change. So um, we're working on forming a coalition that would run through 501c3s and not for profits and whatever those things are called over waters, in whatever places they're going to be in, because there's going to need to be more than one not for profit to help mint people's first work. Because, like, if you go on the main channel for NFTs, which the main place to house your NFTs at, as far as where to put them and have them displayed, is OpenSea, hands down. The other places even share with OpenSea. So if you go to OpenSea and you use that place to put your NFT, you have to pay the gas the first time. And like I said, they mint with Ethereum. And so that's hundreds of dollars. You may not have that. A lot of us don't. Most of America in particular lives paycheck to paycheck. So part of being the change would be to form something to where, philanthropists can give into the cause of women, minorities, those who just are facing socioeconomic disparities, to mint their first work for them, to give them those funds to do so, and then celebrate with them, because after you help them mint that first work, OpenSea does not require that you pay for that first work. I mean, for the subsequent works after that. The gas fees are then included for that person to pay for if they want more of your works. So, being a part of that change is going to be really, really important in moving forward. So, in short, how to make an NFT. You need to create it. So, whether that be a contract, a poem, a piece of art, whether it be something that is on a canvas. If it's on a canvas, you can usually use a digital scanner to make sure that you have all the details of your painting properly represented. That usually does it the best. If not, like a high-end camera can do it as well, and some lighting. But you want to make your NFT, whatever it is, whether it be a one of one or a collection. Then you choose an exchange. So who do you want to mint with? Ethereum, like I said, is one of the main ones, but there's Terra, which allows you to go towards centralized crypto in USDT. There is Solana, again, environmentally friendly, but they don't have as big a marketplaces because they do not go on OpenSea. So you choose your exchange, then you connect your crypto wallet, because they want your wallet connected first to make sure that everything is in order before you sign everything. So once you connect your wallet, so that would be, like I said, your Coinbase, or your MetaMask, your Phantom wallet. There's all kinds of wallets out there. Just make sure that people say that it's not something that, hey, this totally scammed me and took everything. There's a list of top wallets, and that's going to change. So I don't want to give too many recommendations, but there's all kinds of good ones out there. So you connect that. Then it has you to create the contract. So what that looks like is the different ones, the different exchanges, and the places that house the NFTs, they have different ways that they word their contracts. They will walk you through it. If I tried to like give you the ins and outs of this is how it goes, it would be wrong, because everyone does it differently, like just a little bit. So some allow you to have commissions, some just don't do commissions at all. So if you're someone who is doing a fine art one of one, for instance, or let's say you're doing a sculpture, um, you want to make sure that if you want commissions on that piece, that you are minting somewhere that will allow it, right? And then once you create the contract, you enter all the information, the title, usually a picture of the item, or if you're doing something digital, you enter that. If you're doing utility, it'll allow you to upload like a zip file that has the information of how they can get a hold of said utility. Then boom, you sign the contract. It essentially attaches to your wallet, and you have just created an NFT. Right? We did all of that work to get you to how to create an NFT, and we just got there. But wasn't it worth it? Right? So, if you learned something tonight, which I believe that you kind of had to, not unless you already are in the NFT space already, um, then let me know. I want to answer any questions that you may have. Again, there is no stupid question with this. Guys, I was asking things all wrong when I first started. I didn't even know what an NFT was. So when people were like, "Hey, don't you want to turn that painting into, an NFT?" I was like, what?" So ask away. I'm here. Again, I'm sorry that Canva was having those issues at first. I might end up actually presenting this one more time once I can get that stuff to go away. But again, this was a lot of information. I know. So if there's anything that you need to know, let me know. My information is in the link tree. You can reach me there too. And also, if you did learn something, my Cash App is there for your convenience. Thank you so much for listening.